Hello, beautiful Recover and Rise family. Hope that you're having the most incredible day. We are back for our weekly live here in Recover and Rise. If you are here with me live, say hello and put live in the comments. If you're catching the replay, put replay in the comments. And if you're catching this on the podcast or the YouTube channel, welcome, welcome. We're super happy you're here. And if you want to join in on the community, please find that link down below and join us. We would love to have you in here. So Julia's going to be joining me again today, and we're going to be having a little chat about how this inward journey has impacted us on the day-to-day. I know we talk a lot about all of these big ambitions and these dreams and these goals and these big creative projects that are coming into fruition and coming into our lives, and all of the dreams and goals that we all have, right? But one of the biggest things is how we're feeling in the day so that we can actually manifest these things, right? And our hopes for this is just to really inspire you to see the value in you starting to pivot some of your energy and pivoting some of your focus into this inward journey. Because when we have ourselves spread way too thin in many areas, we can't really manifest what we want, right? So that is our hopes for this live for everybody. Hi, Julia.
Hello, hello, hello.
So, yeah, let's get right on into it. Julia, what has been like the most impactful thing for you on the day-to-day when it comes to this inward journey? What have been some of those like kind of pivotal things that you've noticed?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing I would say is the ability to overcome those emotional setbacks more frequently, faster. Not that it needs to be fast, but just like I remember feeling so derailed by things that happened in life, almost like I would think about it constantly and I would obsess over it. And, when you have those emotional processing tools, it just really helps to center you, helps to ground, and maybe I can just share my story a little bit here. I think that in the early phases of my recovery, when I was really struggling with binge eating and food and stuff like that, I needed a new way. It was like my life depended on it, right? And then later down the line, I was encouraged to keep going, to keep going on that emotional processing journey, because I found that even though I had the spiritual tools, my subconscious body was still feeling triggered by so many things. So when I opened to things like the spiral, when I opened to things like working with people and mentorship to find the safety in my body, to better understand my intuition and my emotions and all the things that I was holding on to, that was when I really started to open to my creative dreams, to my vision for my life, to new ways of being that would allow me to show up confidently and embody the person I always could see myself being. So for that, I'm just so freaking grateful, because this whole year I've been putting together one of the biggest projects of my life. And people are like, how do you do it? Like, I have constant setback after setback after setback, but there I am, I'm still going. And that isn't by accident. That's because of all of the self-care that I've done over the years and over the last year in developing that body that feels safe, in processing those emotional hurdles, in deepening my sense of intimacy to myself so that I can be more intimate with others and my projects and my creative gifts, in cultivating the boundaries and standards that allow me to protect my energy and time. And that's why Recover and Rise is going to be so exciting this round, is because we are literally going to help you with these tools. And maybe Laura, you can share your story as well a little bit, because I know I want to hear more about how it's impacted you as well.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you for sharing. And honestly, like witnessing you in your element in the studio, doing all of these things, like managing your business, your music and everything, the way that you navigate your life was a massive inspiration for me. I remember when I first met Julia, um, it was just something about her energy. I was just like, I don't know what you're doing, but I want it. Here's my credit card. And then I went through the spiral and went through Recover and Rise. And then I started embodying that energy too. And I was like, oh my gosh, there is a way more like relaxed, like connected energy that is possible for all of us. And it's crazy because when I first kind of got onto my personal development journey, it was because my body was physically breaking down because I was overworking and I was very stressed and I was working as a paramedic. So it was a very stressful job, but I didn't actually have the emotional regulation tools, right? And so it was big for me because when I kind of pivoted out of that, I started getting into health and nutrition. And I was like, okay, that's awesome. This is where I'm going to go because it really helped me with my physical health. And that's kind of the trajectory that it took me on. And I had these big dreams and these big goals for being like a very successful entrepreneur and having my business. And what kept happening? The emotional pieces kept coming up, the fears when I would have to talk to people or when I have to talk about what I do or all of these things, the fears would come up and all of this stuff kind of stopped me from actually being able to do it. And it's interesting now because like literally every single day I have at least one moment where I'm like, wow, I am so proud of myself just for the way that things flow now and how easeful things are. And even just the simplest little things. I'll share a little story just from the last few days. Julie and I have obviously been working very hard behind the scenes to bring Recover and Rise. All of the back end systems, all of these things, there's so much work behind the scenes that goes into a program like this. And we have been going so hard. And I've been like, okay, like I'm going to push myself a little bit harder. And I got to this point where I wasn't quite listening to my body. And my mental space, my mind was like, okay, I want to push harder so that we can get all this shit done that we have to do. But my body continuously kept saying like, no, like I want something different. And I would keep overriding it. And then yesterday it kind of built up and I had this big moment where I was like, my body, I was so frustrated. I was like, oh my gosh, like there is something like big that's happening right now where I am being called to shift things in big ways. And so Julie is amazing. She's like, take the day, dive in, figure out what's kind of going on. And I sat with it and I was like, okay, what is it that's bringing all of this stuff up? And the biggest thing that I noticed was that I wasn't listening to my body, and the way that we were working together just wasn't working for me. And I had to communicate that. And before having all of this stuff come up, I probably would have stayed in that frustration and projected it out at the world. I would have blamed Julia. I would have blamed my mom. I would have blamed like everybody that's in my life for the feelings and the emotions that I was experiencing. When one of the biggest things that I've learned on this journey is that our emotions are our emotions and they're for us and they're for our guidance and for our learning. And that's it. And another thing too is that I used to always take other people's emotions because I'm very empathetic. I can feel other people's emotions all the time. So if somebody else was angry or somebody else was frustrated, I always think that I was doing something wrong, and it would literally impact my nervous system. And so this journey has helped me to have stronger energetic boundaries as well as physical boundaries to be able to protect my own self. And because of all of these little things that have happened on the day to day, now I'm able to actually maintain my energy. I'm able to shift through things really quickly. I'm able to actually like take the action to make the changes. So today I was like, okay, these are the changes that have to be made moving forward. It was so quick. It was like, okay, these are the changes my body is telling me. Let's freaking rock this out. And you can continue going at an incredible like speed and pace with things in the physical, but the energy in my body is actually very slow and very present. So it's an interesting kind of shift of what happens when we start understanding the energetic realm in our bodies versus like the actual physical realm of what's happening. And even as I was walking like here, another little thing as well that this journey has really impacted me has been just presence. Like even just the smallest little things. Like I walked by a lady as I was walking up the street and I said like, hi, good morning. And like had a smile on my face, and like she engaged back with me. And you know how many times I would have been walking when I was say living in Toronto and I just broke up, my relationship just ended and I was in all of this emotional turmoil. I was just in my thoughts all the time and I wasn't present. And I just think now I'm like, oh my gosh, now that I can actually have these moments of presence where I'm connecting with people on such deep ways, the amount of people that are coming into my life that I'm just really like, wow, people are so amazing. Like there's so many incredible people, and like where these connections lead us, like it's like people are doorways. And that's definitely not the intention of things, but everything in life is a doorway, and we never know where that doorway is going to lead. And when we can be present to what's there, we just never know what spirit's going to gift us next. So that's been definitely another big piece for me, is like the presence piece and my connections and my relationships, and having that intimacy piece, and really just being able to enjoy relationships as well. So I think those have been some of the biggest things for me.
So cool. So cool. I think that another thing that I want to bring up too is like the learning, the really hard piece to swallow for me was that no one else is responsible for my emotions. I feel that, in the past, um, I was hesitant to shift because the people around me weren't shifting. Well, guess what happens when I start to shift my own emotions in my internal world? The people around me really start to shift. And I'm still in my healing with my parents. We get to have these really hard conversations, and we really get to dive deep into our own healing together, which is a miracle. And 10 years ago would have been impossible. Even thinking that that was possible was impossible. And when I really tune into the reasons that I got into this work in the beginning, it was to be able to enjoy my life with the people that I loved most. And that is so important to me. And I know it's a big vision for so many of you. And what Laura's talking about, presence, how many times are we with the people we love and we're not even present because something else seems to be more important, right? And that's just our old ways of conditioning that kind of are getting in the way of that full being of presence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting too, like from my journey as well. Like I saw like the goal of like how I was going to create the time and financial freedom in order to have the time with those that I loved, because that was my underlying thing. But there's like a loop and a trap where it's like I need to do this in order to have this, but then we forget about the being piece. And I was in that loop for so long, where I was just like in the grind and the hustle, and I wasn't listening to my body and the emotional piece. And then everything was so hard. And that was when the big burnout cycles came, and the lashing out on relationships, or isolating. Like a big point in time, I kind of went inward and I just isolated from people because there was too many triggers, there was too many activations coming up in relationships. And that was a big thing. And it wasn't until I started understanding that who we are being in the moment is actually the gateway and the portal to actually doing what we want to do in a way that allows us to have what we want to have in an easeful way. Like we can truly create anything that we want in this lifetime when you have it in that formula, in that way, where you really focus on the being part of understanding the mind, the body, and the spirit, and how they all flow and work together. And then focus on the doing piece with the actual action steps. And then eventually, with consistency, you're going to have all of the things that you want to have in life. It's just a matter of consistency, but it really is that being piece and having those emotional tools to be able to navigate all of the things that come up as we're kind of pushing on our edges, we like to call them, when we're kind of like on the verge of a new reality for ourselves, or whatever that dream or that goal is. When we're kind of pushing on that edge, stuff comes up because our brains want to keep us safe and comfortable. And when we can understand that, it really helps us to be able to push through these things in a way that actually feels good, and it doesn't have to be so like up and down and like a roller coaster all the time. Like it really can be like more easeful.
This is so beautiful. Does anyone have any questions for us? Who would like to have better boundaries? Who would like to find that real sense of presence? Who would like to take the actions that help you bring your vision to life? We really see this next round of Recover and Rise is probably going to be our most powerful round.
Mm-hmm.
We have so many people who are already joining us, and there's only, what, a week and a half, 2 weeks left, really, just under
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks until we start our first one. And the first one is going to be open to the public. It's going to be a vision workshop to help you gain the clarity to bring your vision to life. And if you are questioning whether this is right for you, you're welcome to try out that workshop with us and see how you feel being in a transformative community. See how you feel feeling connected to other people. See how you feel, really navigating the inner stuff and seeing what that can do for you. You know, a lot of the times what I hear people say is, I feel so much lighter. I feel so much more clear. Wow, this is really cool, the work that you do. I had no idea that it was this powerful. You know, so I find that sometimes people like to receive a little taste of it before diving in. So if that is you and you would like a little taste of this work, we are happy to support. And Laura, I don't know if you have anything to add, but I'd love to hear from you. What are some of the things that you're moving through? What are some of the challenges you're facing? And, you know, what questions do you have for us? Let us know.
Just give a second if anybody wants to put any questions in the comments here. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else to share besides I am super fired up. I'm very excited. Like, these tools have changed my life in drastic ways, and everybody who starts utilizing these tools just keeps sharing more and more value that it has. I'm going to share a testimonial, a story from Julianne in here later on today, and she's right now she's actually traveling through Europe. She decided last year that she wanted to start her own business. That was when she went through the spiral, and she went through the spiral and then ended up starting her own business, and then she made the big leap to be able to just um, go on a leave from her work and then go and travel for a year where she could just go and live and experience. And I was speaking with her just the other day, and she was sharing just how it doesn't matter where we are in the world, all of this emotional stuff comes up. And that's the one thing that we all have in common, is that we all have the emotional stuff that comes up. I always say it doesn't matter like where you are, everywhere you go, there you are, right? It doesn't matter. We can try to run from these things and escape from these things, but at the end of the day, like, we are the only ones that can actually dive into this inner stuff. And we just have to understand that there's so much more out there for all of us when we actually learn how to navigate these inner pieces. And the reality of it is we just haven't learned. Like, we didn't learn this stuff. And I think that's one of the things that I'm most passionate about now. I did a workshop in a grade 6 class. Must have been, I think it was maybe like 5 months ago now. And it was the most rewarding thing ever to be able to see these little, like, grade 6s, however you are old you are in grade 6, having these big breakthroughs around understanding that the chat that I had with them was understanding that not all of your thoughts are actually true. And it was massive for them because they didn't understand that. So they would have these limiting thoughts and they would take them as if they were true. And when they started understanding that, they were like, oh my gosh. And it opened up this whole new doorway to them seeing all of these new possibilities. And even like for that class, I had asked them like what their dreams and their goals and stuff were that they were like really wanting to achieve in their life. And some of them wanted to be like big YouTube stars, like video game, like stars, like all of these amazing goals and dreams. And it's like, I wish that when I was a child, I like there wasn't a box on all of the things that I could do. It's like when we're really young, we're like, yeah, you can be a princess, you can be this, you can be that. And then it's like you get into the school age and the school system, that it's like all of a sudden you have to be like choose from X, Y, and Z career. And then it's like you lose that connection with your body and those actual desires. And it's like now going on this journey, it really is that coming back home to self, where you can come and start coming back home to your dreams and your goals and your desires and what you want, and actually start seeing that it is possible for all of us to build a life around those passions, around those creative gifts, and around the things that we actually want in life. Like, we don't have to sacrifice things at all once you understand all of this stuff that we're teaching in Recover and Rise. So there's no questions in here. So anybody watching the recording, if you guys have questions, please feel free to put them in the comments and we will come back to them and we will answer them. And we can always pop back on live to answer more questions. But
I love that story you shared, Laura, because all of us have little dreams and desires that, you know, I guarantee you that if we died tomorrow, I would be really sad if I didn't release the music that I want to release. And I'm sure that,
yeah,
you know, if we died this week, we would have something that we want to bring to this world, or we want to share with people and the people that we love, even if it's just a message of I love you. What holds us back from all of those things, right? And it's just
yeah,
all the little emotions and conditionings that we can be free of.
Hmm.
So, so excited for this round of Recover and Rise. So excited to connect with the beautiful souls. There's already 3 spots taken. So, if you are one of those people who would like to claim your spot, just type yes below or type more info below, and we will reach back out to you. And we can always hop on a call and see if this opportunity is something that suits you. So much love. Biggest love, Laura. Thank you so much for your
Yes.
bright light and energy.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Julie. You
everyone,
too.
for being on this call.
Thank you for being on here. Bye, everyone. See you next time.